The following is a presentation of Muddy River Sports.
Welcome to another episode of 11 Gold Helmets, the QND Football Coaches Show, brought to you by the Range at KC. I'm Muddy River Sports editor Matt Schuckman, hanging out here in downtown Quincy in our studio with the head man of the QND football program, Jack Cornell. Hi, buddy.
Matt, what's up, buddy?
It's good to see you.
You too.
Appreciate Chris Dewar jumping in the hot seat last week and guiding you home.
That was fun. You know, I kind of, when you and I talked about this, you were like, well, do you want Chris to do it? You want me to do it? I was like, man, I mean, you guys are two legends in your own right. So I would just be honored to share the presence with either of you guys.
Well, and we'll keep doing that. How about
Absolutely.
that? You know, I think he enjoyed it too.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's always fun to talk football.
It is. Always fun.
I know you guys are coming off a loss at Sacred Heart Griffin from last week. What is your message after a game like that to your team?
Yeah, that game we knew was going to be a challenging game.
Yep.
Obviously, you play a team like Sacred Heart Griffin, you know that you're going to get their best shot, particularly coming off of the game that we had with them last year.
Right.
I thought that we got out to a really great start. Obviously, we jumped on them early. It was good for us to score in that first series, hold them on defense, and then they kick it to Gavin Dolman, and Gavin Dolman does what he does best. But a game like that is a game of momentum. The ebbs and flows of football, and when we had swings of momentum, they would respond to their own swings, and we would swing back, and they would swing back. So, it really became pretty obvious that whoever was going to possess the ball at the end of the game was going to be the one to have success. So we talked all week last week about the importance of playing mistake-free football.
Yeah.
It was probably our least penalized game that we've had, in probably 10 years, maybe.
That's awesome.
But unfortunately, our mistakes came in, the most critical moments of the ball game. So obviously, the end of the first half, they get two Hail Marys that connect. They make a big goal line stand, where we would have punched it in for our third score. All of those things add up over time. So really just impressed with the way that our guys were battling that whole game. We talked, obviously the first 3 weeks being as lopsided wins as they were, we weren't going to find ourselves in some 6-0 contest.
No doubt.
So we're going to have to keep swinging, and we're going to have to stay the course. And I thought our guys did that, even with all of the adversity that we had to face through the course of that game.
For me, what jumped out was, for the first time this season, you were challenged, and your guys responded. They didn't back down. I thought you saw some things you can grow from, some things you can learn from. But this wasn't, okay, you bludgeoned 3 straight opponents by very lopsided scores, and then came and got blown out by a good team. You were neck and neck with a state-ranked team. There's got to be positive. The guys got to come back and be like, okay, we can get better from this, not, oh, woe was us, we lost.
And I would say that there was certainly disappointment that we lost.
Of course.
Our guys are competitive and they want to win, but I think that you're right. Our guys understood, we had them right where we wanted. It wasn't like they totally dominated us.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, that was a really good 4A football team.
Yeah.
And for us to be able to measure ourselves against another really good 4A team, those are the kind of teams that we're going to see, God willing, we get into the postseason.
Right.
So, for us, really challenging us and seeing where we're at as a football team and seeing, who are some guys that we could put in the game. We had a lot of guys go down through the course of that ball game with stuff that I don't think is going to be season ending for anybody, thankfully, but we really had to rely on guys coming off the bench, which is the case for any football team in any year, right? You're going to have to rely on the guys that don't immediately start the football game.
And if you have depth and you build depth as the year goes on, that just gives you and your staff more confidence to put a guy in a situation when the season's on the line in the playoffs.
No doubt. And, for us, it seems like we have games like this where you're forced to put guys in the game and you're forced to build that kind of depth. We obviously try to do that through the course of the offseason, in preseason, through the week, giving as many guys reps we possibly can. But you just never really know when the time's going to come for you to have to lean on those guys. And for us, it came in the most pivotal ball game of the year.
Is there somebody that jumps out at you? I don't want to just single out one person, but is there one couple kids anybody that you go, hey, he really stepped up when we needed him to, and proved that he belongs?
I would say Cam Huner was that guy for us. Cam has been a starting defensive lineman for us since his sophomore year last year.
Right.
He's a guy that really has a lot of genuine enthusiasm and energy. He really makes a lot of noise, and he's really good at that. But, we unfortunately lost our left guard at one point early in the ball game. So a guy like Cam has to plug in at left guard while he's still playing defense, and really didn't miss a beat.
Good.
You can tell that an offensive lineman is playing well when you don't have to talk about it through the course of a game.
Yeah.
And so for him, it was never really an issue. He was really doing what he needed to do. His conditioning was really good, so it wasn't like he was slowing down. We got him breaks on defense when we needed to, but Cam really stepped up in a big way for us, and I was really proud to see the way that he responded, having to get put in the ball game at a moment where he wasn't really, not that he wasn't ready, but that's not what he was expecting at the start of that ball game.
Well, and I think your linemen work so well together that they can lean on each other. When one guy goes out and you have to replace him in this situation with Cam, that he can lean on the guys to his left and his right and know they're going to help him through that, and he's going to help them.
That's right, yeah. And when you get in situations like that, junior center Dawson Stafford, who just had his 4th start last week, he now becomes one of the more seasoned veterans up there with that. And so he can kind of help out Cam in those communications. But, we have 2 seniors on the right side, Grayson Hall and Caleb Regan, who really have a lot of experience in their own right. So, them being able to help Cam Huner, Sam Klauser started the ball game last week for us at left tackle and played really well. Those guys can kind of help give some, advice, some kind of little savvy veteran techniques that those guys use that they can then put in the ballgame themselves.
By the way, I do want to point out that the Walters kid from Sacred Heart Griffin that caught 2 touchdown passes, his dad's a Quincy native.
I heard that.
For some reason, he landed in Springfield after college, but he is a U of I grad.
ILL. Yeah.
So that eases it a little bit, right?
Maybe.
When you go back and watch film of that game, are you looking strictly at the mistakes you made and going, okay, we got to correct these and here's how we correct them? Or are you looking at, hey, we also did this well. Let's accentuate that when we break down film with the team?
It's a little bit of both. Obviously, when you get your coaching head on, you look at all the things that you need to fix and correct so that you don't make those mistakes anymore. But we've been doing a lot of things really well that it's important for those guys to see those things that they're doing really well. And we did do a lot more right than wrong in this last game. Just unfortunately, the wrong came again in the most critical moments
at the wrong time,
at the very wrong time. So those are good learning opportunities for us to become situationally aware, but also to see all right, these mistakes that we made, they're not crippling mistakes. They're not going to, hold us out of something important down the road if we correct them now. Obviously, if they go unchecked, if we don't address them and those things happen again, it's going to cost you a game, which it cost us last Friday. But our guys have done a lot of really exceptional things. And we still, while we've got a lot of veterans out there like Gavin Dolman, like Jace Allensworth, like Caleb Regan, we're still young. We still have a lot of guys who are plugging in some new spots from guys from last year who are still trying to get their feet wet in varsity. And I had a conversation last week with a receiver who, was wanting to get the ball more. He's like, I just haven't really got a lot of touches in the ball game, coach. I was like, well, we had 28 snaps on offense last week. We had 30 the week before.
Yeah.
It's been around that number for quite some time that your time is coming, but you're obviously not going to get those kind of reps that you're expecting when the ball game is only 28 plays on offense. A game like last Friday, that's when you're going to have your chance to shine. And so it was good for us to see a bunch of different guys touch the football, get a bunch of different guys involved in that process, and again, put a lot of good things on film.
Obviously, you watch film, you break down film, your guys watch a lot of film, but then they've got to translate that to the practice field. Have you seen that this week where they're embracing what needs to change, what needs to get fixed, and taking that to the practice field with the right mentality?
I have. I mean, I think these guys were not discouraged. They're not totally encouraged, obviously, with the loss, but these guys understand what they need to do to win. And these guys want to be great. These guys don't want to be average. They don't just want to be a 5-win, let's go to the playoffs and call it a day kind of team. These guys want to be good. And it's always really fun for me, and I think for the rest of our coaches, to see these guys at practice really let their competitiveness come out. I mean, these guys are chippy at practice. They really care a lot about playing well, and they care a lot about winning. And that is really evident when it comes to their preparation on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
The best thing I see when I've been out to your practices throughout the season, they hold each other accountable. They're not going to let one of their teammates slack off because he had a good week or because he had a bad week. No, everybody's going to hold each other accountable in a good, positive way. It's not negative, but it's like, okay, we got to all meet this standard. And each week I see that from your guys.
And I think that's part of the culture. That's what these guys grew up in when they were younger players and watching the older guys in front of them. And from a coaching standpoint, it really allows us to focus on the things that coaches need to focus on. Not so much, holding the guys accountable, we will, but if there's technique flaws or assignment flaws, like we can correct that. Let these other guys handle the culture. I mean, any great team is going to be a player-driven team, and so we want that from our guys. And the more that they use their voice, the less the coaches have to do to work on those little things.
Well said. I like that. We got more to talk about, though. I want to break down a little bit about your guys and sort of their mentality when we come back. Sound good?
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Jack Cornell, Matt Schuckman. This is 11 Gold Helmets, the QND Football Coaches Show, brought to you by the Range of KC. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
It is fall, there's a chill in the air, there's also going to be footballs in the air here at the range. 29 TVs outside, 13 TVs inside, and we're going to have all of your NFL games. We're also going to have local games, so if you want to catch some high school or college games, you come here. Also, you asked for it, we brought it. Blue Moon is now on tap. And don't forget, you can always rent out our patio, private, just for you right here at the range.
Welcome back to 11 Gold Helmets, brought to you by the Range of KC. Matt Schuckman, Jack Cornell, talking Quincy Notre Dame football. Obviously, you guys got a game at home this week at Advanced Physical Therapy Field. Springfield coming to town for a Central State 8 West Division battle.
Yeah.
One of the things, sometimes in this segment in the past, we've talked about post-game awards and your weekly awards. Coming off a loss, you push that aside and focus on
no awards
on a loss. But we still want to talk about the things you guys are doing well.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that we've talked about in the past here in this segment is scout team guys. Because I think scout team guys get overlooked a lot of times. They're also the guys that are learning to where next year you're going to count on them, or 2 years from now you're going to count on them. Who are some guys that have jumped out to you that have done a really good job on scout team or continue to improve to help your starters get better?
Yeah, well, on this show before, we've talked about guys like a Bell Bear Horse and Trip Flesh.
Yep.
Those guys are slowly getting more and more reps, and so it's not just us kind of coming here and talking about this and manifesting it, but these guys are really working at their craft. And
They're earning
better.
it.
They're earning it. Caden Marth is another one, who's a young quarterback and linebacker who has just got a really good demeanor for doing his job, but really has a good competitiveness, is level-headed when it comes to doing his job, and through 5 games really now in preparation, we've seen some different types of offenses, and so that kind of puts a challenge on the scout team quarterback to go out there and replicate those. So Caden's done a really good job at that. He's getting more reps on special teams. He's been really effective for us as a punter. We were handing out awards for last week. I think probably the 2 special teams awards, number 1 would be Gavin Dolan, again, taken to the house.
Right.
But number 2 is Caden Marth, who has an ability for us to flip the field. And as a head coach, I've really been blessed in 8 years doing this now to have some really talented punters. And Caden's the latest iteration of that. I can't honestly say before I was a head coach that I really cared what the punter or the kicker did, but now that I'm the head coach, it matters. I can tell you it makes a big difference.
It makes a big difference.
So they, Sacred Heart would stop us, in our territory, and we were able to, get a good clean snap from Connor Flax, take the ball away and flip the field and really put their offense in a more compromising position.
You threw out a name there in Connor Flax that your long snapper has to be good for your special teams to be good.
Yeah.
As an offensive lineman, as a guy who played at the highest level, did you understand how important the long snapper was back then?
I did, and I had some roommates in college who were long snappers, who were kickers, and so those guys are always ready to tell you how important they are to the team. So I don't even have to do that, but while I was always incredibly jealous of those guys, especially during training camp, because in training camp, you'd have hours and hours and hours of meetings, you'd have a couple hours of practice, and then you'd have more hours of meetings.
Right.
I mean, those guys would have 1 hour special teams meeting, and then when all their teammates go to offense and defense, they would literally go back to the hotel room and play video games or take a nap. And it's like, I'm out here slaving away, for Coach Zook and the Illini, and for Coach Harbaugh and the Ravens, or Coach DA and the Raiders. And, These guys are just up there taking a nap, you know. So, but I will say that it is impressive to see those guys at the highest level do what they do because they're so automatic, they're so on the money. They just never miss when it comes to that kind of stuff.
It's impressive.
It is impressive, and just the way they go about it's the same thing over and over and over again. And it really is the same kind of thing as an offensive lineman. I mean, us linemen, we live in this monotonous world of doing the same things over and over again until it becomes a habit. We at least get to run and pass. I mean, those guys are just doing one thing. But, you know, Connor, you mentioned we didn't really know what we had in Connor before the season started. And when we were trying out for, you know, a long snapper, Ty Meyer did a great job for us in that spot last year.
Yes,
obviously, was snapping to Ivan Hoon, who also could flip the field. So those two pieces on punt, it's like, oh, I mean, those are big pieces to replace.
No doubt.
So we kind of were like, you know, who can snap? And Connor was like, well, I can give it a try. And he got down there and tried it and was pretty good. Now we have a luxury of having a partnership with Blessing Hospital, who provides our athletic training services at QND.
Yes.
Sean Montini has been our trainer since last year, and I will say that Sean is the best around when it comes to doing that job. We are so fortunate to have.
And you said his last name right. I got grief for saying it wrong last time I said it on air.
Well, so. I've had his daughter in class.
Yeah.
So I know the Montinis well. They're fellow parishioners at St. Peter's.
I covered Mason Montini when he played soccer.
Yeah.
And I think I said Montini last time I was on air and said it. And Sean cornered me out of one of your football practices.
No doubt.
And he goes, everybody called me Teeny. It was his nickname. He said, so just remember that. Montini.
Well, that's good to know.
And I was like, okay, I won't forget that.
Yeah.
And of course, then that was before I did my last show where I mentioned Mason.
Yeah.
And of course, I said it wrong then, and he comes right back to me, and I'm like, brain fart.
Yeah.
I can't. I have no excuse.
You got to be more professional than that, Matt. That's just, you know.
I screwed up.
Yeah. But
anyway.
But so Sean, you know, really does a great job taking care of all of our athletes, not just our football players. But Sean was a Moline graduate, was a long snapper for the Leathernecks.
Yes.
And so we kind of had to call Sean in a couple times saying, you can coach Connor up, and you could tell that Sean's like, you know, he lives in this athletic training world and he loves doing that, but it's like
he got excited
down in the stance, he's going to get his hands on the ball. He's like, oh, this just feels right. So he's able to kind of coach our guys up a little bit, and so we can kind of steal a little bit like that from Blessing. You know, we're making him pull double.
But isn't that special when you know you got a guy who's there to do a job, and he does a very good job at what he does. He's really, really good at that.
Yeah.
But says, I'll help out.
Yeah.
I'll give him, you know, because I think so many people, whether it's athletic training, whether it's coaching, sometimes it could be the PA guy, goes, it's not about me. It's not about the job I do. It's about taking care of the student athletes.
Yeah.
And if I can help them in this way, that's a little different than what my job is,
I'm
going to help them.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing.
And I think that, you know, all the trainers that we've gotten from Advance in the past, Advanced Physical Therapy's got great trainers like that come out and do that. And Sean is just, again, the latest iteration of that. But you're right. Whatever it takes to help the kids, the students, and whether it's football or volleyball or basketball or wrestling or baseball, he's in there and he's doing a really great job. And he's even, you know, moonlighting as a long snapping coach.
There you go. So, I have to remember that.
No doubt.
Now, you mentioned Caden Marth earlier, and you have some other guys that are in a similar situation to Caden, or Rowan Stegeman, for example. Guys who, as freshmen, played, for those two specifically, they were starters on the varsity baseball team. They played a lot of minutes on the sophomore basketball team and may have dressed varsity in some kids' certain circumstances. How much does that help when... And I know they're sophomores and they've come out. They were part of your program last year. But when they've started for a varsity program, no matter which one it is, how much does that help them mature as a sophomore and know that they're more prepared for the competition?
Yeah, I think it's big for them coming into this year. I think last year Rowan played a little bit for us on varsity.
Yes.
Caden, not so much.
Right.
But I think that when those guys were able to be kind of the man for baseball, that helps them come in and now in football and really accept the roles that they're in. I mean, I just think it's great for all of our students to be multi-sport athletes.
Agreed.
Because you are going to get that type of well-rounded competitiveness, well-rounded athletic development, and I think you end up doing more harm than good when you hamstring yourself into one sport. I think there's just too much of that goes on. I'm not the only one that believes that.
I agree.
But I think that those two guys in particular, if you can do it in one sport, you do it in any sport, Those guys are, among the most exceptional athletes that we got at QND right now.
Well, and you mentioned a couple guys in Abel Bearhorst, Trip Flesh. I saw Trip Flesh grow from his time last year playing on the JV basketball team and being part of your program. And it's fun to watch those kids mature.
Yeah.
On and off the field.
Right.
Because you look at some of your seniors, I remember how goofy they were as freshmen.
Yeah.
And how scared they were to talk.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. And now they're seniors and
they're flourishing.
Yes.
And they really come out of their shell. And, for all of those guys that you mentioned, really what separates them is their commitment in the weight room. It's a process, right?
Yeah.
You can't just show up and be the man.
Yeah, true.
You got to earn it. And especially in this sport of football, you got to prepare your body to not just be the best athlete, but to be able to sustain these hits, to be, a very healthy individual. The best ability is availability. And the weight room is what keeps these guys available. And you talk about a guy like Trip Flesh who attacked the weight room in the offseason, despite playing basketball, playing baseball, doing other things. He still made that a priority, and that's why guys like that are in the position they are today.
And you can see it. You can see the physical maturity happening.
Right. And I think that also helps these guys buy in as well, because then they kind of look at themselves in the mirror and say, "Oh, I do have some muscles popping out. Maybe I'll just keep doing this and they'll keep getting bigger and bigger." It's like, yeah, buddy, they will.
That's what happens when you work your butt off.
Awesome.
Good stuff there. You do have a game at home this week.
Yeah.
7 o'clock kickoff, Advanced Physical Therapy Field Friday night against the Springfield Senators. You want to break that down when we come back?
100%.
Let's do it. For Jack Cornell and Matt Schuckman, we're going to take another break. This is 11 Gold Helmets, the QND Football Coaches Show, brought to you by the Range at KC.
It is fall, there's a chill in the air, there's also going to be footballs in the air here at the range. 29 TVs outside, 13 TVs inside, and we're going to have all of your NFL games. We're also going to have local games, so if you want to catch some high school or college games, you come here. Also, you asked for it, we brought it. Blue Moon is now on tap. And don't forget, you can always rent out our patio, private, just for you right here at the range.
Welcome back to 11 Gold Helmets, the QND Football Coaches Show. Springfield Senators coming to Advanced Physical Therapy Field, 7 p.m. Friday night for a Central State 8 Conference West Division matchup. And the Senators are pretty good, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
They got some talent, especially they can be explosive offensively.
They can.
Knowing that, how do you prepare for a team that has some explosive tendencies?
Yeah, well, it's kind of similar to last week, kind of looking ourselves in the mirror, so to speak, right?
Yep.
They've got, obviously, a talented quarterback, Brody Scheffler, who's back, who played last year. And
right.
He's a guy that really impressed me from just the way that he operates things, and he's got a lot of really talented football players on the outside that he can get the ball to as well. A guy like Mekhi Newman, who is going to be going to Western with Gavin, and guys that if they get the ball in their hands, they could really make something happen. The most impressive player on their team, in my opinion, is an offensive and defensive lineman named Trey Sutton, who is a sophomore, who really jumped out on film last year and jumps out on film right now.
He got time as a true freshman last year.
He started,
yes,
and played at a high level. For my money, he was the best player in Springfield last year. Maybe that's going to be the case this year.
Could very well be.
But from what I understand about him, he's an exceptional young man who really works hard and overcomes a lot of things that people that grow up over there have to overcome. But is just a guy that plays incredibly hard all over. And he can open up lanes, for the running game.
For a sophomore, he's pretty physical.
Very physical. And so they can get their run game going like they did last year. They've obviously got weapons on the outside. So they bring a lot of guys back off a team last year that was also really good. They're 3-1 right now, and their one loss has been to Decatur MacArthur, which was a tight one in overtime.
Yes.
Really could have gone either way.
And MacArthur's played well. Not just beating Springfield High, but they've played well through 4 weeks.
They have. So for us to be successful, we got to control what we control.
Yeah.
If they do have a big play, we can't obviously let that go to our heads and think, oh my gosh, here they come. And I think that's what last week kind of prepares us for.
Yes.
Last week put us in the mindset of, okay, these are big games, big momentum swings. They're going to have some plays. We're going to have some plays. Yep. It's really just a matter of who's going to be able to control their emotions to come the end of the ball game. We have to capitalize on mistakes that they make, just like they would want to capitalize on mistakes that we make.
Right.
So for us, again, similar to last week, it's about limiting our mistakes, and the team with the fewest mistakes is going to win.
When you face a team with an experienced quarterback, we all saw Brody Scheffler last year. We know he's not just a big arm back there. He's physical. He'll run the ball. He can escape the pocket. He can get out and make plays on his own. And yes, he can throw the ball pretty well too. When you know you're facing an experienced quarterback, how does your defense prepare for that?
Well, I think at each level, everybody's got kind of a different role. Up front, I mean, every chance you got to hit the quarterback, you got to hit the quarterback.
Yep.
Or you got to try to disrupt him some way, somehow. You want to try to get him off platform. We always talk in our protection about having the quarterback's feet stay clean. Mm-hmm. If the quarterback's got clean feet, he can stand on a firm platform and throw a ball more accurately. But if he doesn't have clean feet, if there's traffic around him or he's got to move, now all of a sudden he takes his eyes from down the field and looking at the rush that's in front of him. So that's how those guys do it. The second level, linebackers really got to do a great job of covering some of their short routes. They'll have some shallow routes come across the field. They got slants. So not trying to limit those to be small gains if possible. That would be big. Those guys also got to, bow their necks and play the run. They got some really fast cats that come out of the backfield. They got some big cats too.
Yes.
So for those guys to be able to string out the edge runs, stuff the interior runs, and own their gaps, that's going to be big. On the back end, obviously, we got to run with their really exceptional athletes.
Yeah.
We got some pretty good athletes ourselves, for
yes,
sure.
You do.
But we're really going to be challenged this week on the outside, on the back end, with the types of athletes that Springfield's going to bring in here. So for us, trying to keep everything in front of us, trying to run the short balls, trying not to let the deep balls get behind us too far. That's really kind of been our MO on defense.
I think a lot of people look at the play of the secondary on a week in and week out basis and go, oh, they did a nice job defending the wide receivers. They sometimes forget that half of that equation is the front five, front seven, however you stack it up, getting pressure on the quarterback. Mm-hmm. If you don't allow, and you said clean feet, if you don't allow that quarterback to sit in the pocket, set himself, it in turn helps the secondary.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hand in hand.
Right.
And I think people sometimes forget that the pressure on the quarterback helps the secondary, and it goes hand in hand.
And the challenge for us this week is going to be to do just that. I mean, Brody Scheffler gets rid of the ball really quickly.
Yeah.
And teams and quarterbacks are going to have that kind of confidence in their guys to get the snap and immediately get rid of it. I mean, that makes it challenging for the rush to get home, because obviously if the ball's out, there's nobody there to sack. So then the secondary guys and linebackers, they got to be on their guys like Velcro. So for us, again, just try to do what we can to disrupt as much as possible. That's got to be big for us. But trying to limit their explosive plays has to be a priority for sure, because they're going to have some.
Coming off a loss, how important is it that, and maybe not important is the right word, what does it do for your team to have a quality opponent backing up a quality opponent? Weeks 1 through 3, you knew if you took care of business, you did the things you were supposed to do, you were going to win big. You just were more talented, more physical than those first 3 teams. Talent, physicality, pretty similar with Sacred Heart Griffin, with Springfield, with you guys. Yeah. Is it good coming off a loss that you have a challenge ahead of you?
I think so. I think that any team that we would play, our guys are going to be excited to play at this point of the season, right? But as we say all the time, I mean, football is like throwing a wolf out the back door. As soon as you get the one thrown out the back door, there's another one coming through. Yeah. So you don't really have a lot of time to sit there and reflect on the highs or get too down on the lows, because now there's another wolf that's coming through the front door. And for us, based back-to-back weeks, we knew we were going to be the 2 biggest weeks of the season so far. They'll keep getting bigger as the season goes on. Obviously, we're going to have a talented Jacksonville team. We're going to have a talented Decatur McCarthy team. We're going to have to go on the road to Landfear, on the road to Lincoln. But right now, this wolf that we're focused on is a really talented wolf. And these guys want to beat us. They want to come in here and enact revenge on last year. This would be a huge win for them. Obviously, a prove-it game for them to go on the road behind enemy lines. A far road trip for a team like Springfield. So for us, I think that we just want to try to course correct and get right back on the wagon. And again, our guys understand that, and I think they've really had a good week of practice so far.
We're at the midpoint of the season. Crazy to think we're already there.
Yeah.
How pleased are you with the progress of your team through 4.5 weeks as you head into week 5?
Yeah, there's always things to work on.
Well, yes.
And I think that's what makes this job and any coaching job kind of fresh, right?
Yeah.
There's never, even the teams that are 4-0 at this point and winning by 100, they still got things to work on. They still got opponents to prepare for. And so for us, having another quality opponent come in really raises our bar competitively and makes our guys lock in. That's what has been impressive to me, is just how focused our guys are on the task at hand. You know, they're going to make mistakes in practice here and there. Everybody at every level does, but our guys are not taking anybody for granted. I don't think they took the first 3 teams for granted.
I don't think they did either.
They certainly didn't take last week for granted. They're certainly not taking this week for granted. So I think our guys understand that this is a process. We're consumed with winning. We want to win. But really, at the end of the day, our guys want to be diligent in the process and do what it takes to win high-level football games week in and week out.
Well, by 9 o'clock Friday night, we'll know just how good the process was this week.
I would say so.
Awesome. Good luck Friday night.
Thanks so much.
7 o'clock kickoff, Advanced Physical Therapy Field. Springfield coming to town for a Central State 8 Conference showdown. Appreciate you taking the time this week to join me here in the studio, and look forward to seeing what you guys do Friday night.
It's always great. Can't wait.
Awesome.
Raiders.
For Jack Cornell, I'm Matt Schuckman. This has been another episode of 11 Gold Helmets, the QND Football Coaches Show, brought to you by the Range of KC.
Muddy River Sports. Our home, our sports.